Anu Sehgal, thank you so much for being with us on ITV Gold yet again. It's great to have you here with us.
Same here. Hi, Aditi. How are you doing?
I'm good, I'm good. And it's so great to see the Culture Tree do so many, so many activities during this pandemic. So I want to congratulate you for a lot of good work. And, I'm very excited to see what we can discuss today. So just starting off this interview, Anu, for people that may not know about the Culture Tree and all of its ongoing programs, could you briefly highlight what the Culture Tree is and its amazing programs? And also, what have you done so far during COVID-19?
Yeah, so the Culture Tree is a leading New York-based organization that promotes cultural literacy about South Asia through language education and cultural programming. And we work with museums, we work with all the libraries in the tri-state area and a lot of schools. And during COVID, actually, we used to host language classes in the tri-state area. Our language classes have become national, and we are even getting requests from overseas for our language classes in Hindi, Urdu, Punjabi. But besides that, our cultural programming has become really, global. We are working with some cultural icons from all over the world. We did an Eid program called Eid Around the World. Literally, it was Eid Around the World, which featured this master calligrapher from Iraq, authors from India, Pakistan. We had an influencer, Urdu mom from Canada. So that was a very successful program we worked on. We also created a whole segment in which children sent their stories about their heritage. And one 10-year-old sent us a story about Eid Ka, which is a classic from India from 1930s, about Eid, and also about, like unconditional love. And a company called Thresh Dance Company made it into a performance, which was telecast by Asia Society worldwide. It was a Facebook Live event, and it went live all over the world, and it was really well accepted.
Yeah.
We are also working on a lot of other cultural programs.
And you're still
And,
doing your
we're
cultural
working with
classes,
various
right?
museums. And yeah.
Yes, and the classes are continuing, and you're doing the classes in languages because the last time we spoke, you told us about a bunch of languages that are being taught in the Culture Tree. Has all of that moved to virtual?
Everything is virtual right now. And we are in talks about whether we are going to have live classes in fall. Everything is in so much flux right now.
Right.
But it's been received really well. We have team classes from all over the US. We have some classes of siblings and cousins joining in to learn their heritage language, which is very, as an educator, it is very important that everyone is really connecting back to the heritage and to their roots.
Yes, for sure. And just talking about these children, Anu, how have they responded to basically virtual education at this point? Every kid in this country right now is studying somewhat virtually, either cultural literature or just the normal schoolwork. How has their experience been? And have you spoken to them about that?
Yeah, I think the children are doing fine. There was definitely right after the school was over and the children were, ready for their summer break. There was a week when everybody said they had Zoom fatigue. But I think they jumped back in very, very well. And, there are so many tools that we are using now and resources we are using now through Zoom that we could never have used. And I feel the children are really adapting very well. Typically we have one class a week with kids, and they have to turn in their homework. But now their homework has become really like you can replay their, the sentences they are saying, or if they're making up a story. And I think the technology really helps, and the kids are always helping the teachers out because they get the so, it's worked really well for elementary school, middle school, and high school kids. Preschoolers, yeah, I think for that age group, you really need to be with your students to really get the most out of the class and make that connection.
Anu, for people that may be watching it right now, especially for our parents, why do you think is it so important for us to introduce cultural literacy into the lives of our children here? What do you think bringing more of the South Asian culture through language and events that the Culture Tree does, what kind of impact does it have on those children?
The biggest impact is pride, a sense of belonging, which our kids don't have. And one of the very important components of it is also expression, expressing your individuality, your heritage. I think it just gives them so much confidence and pride in their heritage and their duality, as Indian American kids, as Pakistani American kids. So I think it's very important for them to see people like them around them. They also see celebrations about them and about their cultures. And then it also is a forum through which they express themselves and have pride.
Yes, definitely. What is your focus for the next few weeks in terms of content and in terms of the themes that you're going with in the Culture Tree?
We have so much going on, Aditi. It is so exciting. So, of course, the first event that's coming up is next week. We are doing it along with ITV Gold and the Indian Consulate, and we are very excited to launch the Dabba Dialogues. And we'll talk a little more about that. But then after Dabba Dialogues is a celebration of Raksha Bandhan. And after that, we have a wonderful event that we are doing with Jugal Hansraj, who was, he's an actor, he's a writer, he's written a children's book, but he will give children tips about acting and, having a presence on stage. And he will also talk about his childhood as an actor. So, we are very excited about that. We have a really big Diwali event that we have already started planning. So there is a lot going on and a lot of exciting stuff that is going on right now.
And Anu, would all of that be done virtually? I guess I'm trying to ask if all of these arrangements that people are doing now in their organizations when they're hosting events, especially South Asians, will that mostly be done virtually at this point?
Yeah, so I have been working with a lot of museums. I had a call with New York Public Library yesterday. Everything is going to be virtual. This year, we don't have any live programs. I think museums are opening. Some of the branches of the library are opening, but they will not have any live family programs. It's just not going to happen. So, we are preparing accordingly, and we are taking advantage of that as well. We are working with, we have put together a mini summer camp with writer and journalist Rupa Pai. And this camp would literally be taught. Rupa is in India. She'll teach children about timeless wisdom from ancient India. And, that's something that there's no way we could have taken advantage of something like that. So, we are completely prepared to do everything virtually for 2020.
Wow, you have fully transformed your entire programming into a virtual setting so that you can continue your programs.
Yes, we did. We did it very quickly. We reacted and we, went ahead with all our virtual classes pretty much 1 week after the social distancing happened in New York area.
That was really smart. Just discussing more on this, I want to now reflect upon some of these upcoming events. And before, reflecting on these events, I kind of want to highlight your great relationship with the Indian Consulate, who is co-hosting a lot of these events with you. And we're also very happy to partner up, and do a lot of media work with you as well for these events. How has the relationship been with the Indian Consulate here?
It has been so good. We actually started our relationship with the consulate 3 years ago when we were working with the Children's Museum of Manhattan on having an exhibit on India. So, that was basically the first thing that the Indian Consulate, and Sandeep Chakravarti was the CG at that time.
Yeah.
He was so supportive of that. And the vision was to have as soon as you enter the Children's Museum of Manhattan, basically to enter into a railway station in India and have a completely immersive experience. So that's a project that, Sandeep Chakravarti was very excited to support. But ever since that, we have worked with them on an ongoing basis. They really regard the Culture Tree very highly as a leading company that is working for cultural literacy on India. So they have been amazing partners for us.
Yes, for sure. And from there, I kind of want to go right into Dabba Dialogue and the Raksha Bandhan event because it's coming very soon. And I really hope that we can get some of our viewers to join in when the event goes live. Talk to us a little bit about Dabba Dialogue series and your vision behind it.
Yes, so Dabba Dialogue firstly is going to be a Facebook Live event. Yes. If you want to attend it, it's on July 31st at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the Indian Consulate will host it, and then we will do, we'll also have it on our pages, ITV Gold, as well as the Culture Tree. So definitely like these organizations if you want to experience the first Dabba Dialogue. So Dabba Dialogue, as you know, Aditi, we have discussed this platform with you guys. It is a series in which we will have conversations about our stories. And we are calling it our spice stories, which revolve around identity, diversity, heritage, and culture. And all the stories are loosely around the dabbas. And as most of the South Asians will know, dabbas are containers, and they can manifest into really masala dabbas, or they're also called namakdanis, or your tiffin dabba. And the first Dabba Dialogue next week is going to be around the masala dabba, or the namakdani, or the spice container that South Asians have. And I say South Asians because literally, that is a quintessential part of any South Asian kitchen, whether it is Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka. You will find that dabba in any kitchen or any household. And we feel that each dabba is like a signature of the household. Yeah. And it has a story, a rich history around it. Yeah. It represents the heritage, it represents the lineage, and the place of origin. So we think there's like a lot of richness around the dabbas. And really through the Dabba Dialogue, we have a forum which is in the form of a dialogue. There are two cultural icons that will be present. There will be children that will be present, and they'll have dialogue with each other. But then there is also a dialogue that is happening behind the scene in which, these children who will join the discussion, they will have a dialogue with their grandparents and parents about their dabbas and their food story. So they will come prepared. We think it's going to be an extremely rich discussion. And for our first dialogue, our feature guests are Dr. Kanchan Koya, or she's also known as Chief Spice Mama. She has a PhD in biomedicine from Harvard University, and she's also a featured chef at BuzzFeed's Tasty. She's also a firm believer that food and spices can be our best medicine. She's a health coach. So I think she probably is one of the best people we could have had for our first Dabba Dialogue and the launch of this series. We also have singer-songwriter and Grammy-nominated Falu, who will be participating. She will talk about her dabba, and she'll tell us her spice story. But in her Grammy-nominated album, Falu's Bazaar, there is a song that is just dedicated to the dabbas, to the masala dabba of her household. So it'll be very interesting to see, what she brings with her, and then she'll end in a song that she'll teach us. And in addition to that, we are inviting, as I mentioned, 6 Indian American children who will describe and talk about their dabbas and share their stories. And, as an educator, I'm always looking for children to really learn about their heritage and then express it. I think that it's very important. The self-expression part is very critical because, there is a call to action for children, and I think it's very critical.
Yes, and I think it's so important that we are celebrating this South Asian voice, the culture, and the heritage behind it. And I think spices is a great way to, introduce various diversity and regions of India. From here, let's quickly talk about the Raksha Bandhan event, which is also being co-hosted by the Indian Consulate and the Culture Tree. I know Raksha Bandhan is such a big event in, Indian households. What inspired you to, collaborate with the Indian Consulate on this, and what can we look forward to?
Yeah, so for Raksha Bandhan, I've always wanted to celebrate, even not the big festivals like Holi, Diwali, Eid. But I've never gotten a chance to celebrate Raksha Bandhan through the Culture Tree. And now we are celebrating all these other festivals that people really don't even know about in America. So we are going to, firstly, education and educating everyone about a festival is one of the key things. So we'll, in general, talk about Raksha Bandhan, how it came about, how it's celebrated in India. And we will actually bring in a unique angle in which, really Raksha Bandhan, although traditionally is a celebration between a brother and a sister, but it goes beyond that. I grew up in a household with 3 girls, like I have 2 sisters. So we used to tie Rakhi to each other, and it's broader than just relation between a brother and a sister. You can tie a Rakhi to your best friend,
right.
to your siblings who are the same gender. So it's more of a celebration of love, of unconditional love, and also heritage. So we have a very exciting event that day. It is on August 7, again, at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And joining us for that event is Kabir Sehgal, and he is a Wall Street Journal, New York Times bestseller, and also Grammy winner. He has written a slew of cultural books. So this book is about, it's called The String of Love. So he and his mom are going to share this book with us. And then we have Bhakti Mathur, who is a world-known author of the Amma Tell Me series and Amma Take Me series about Indian mythology and all these, special places in India. So she's going to do a book reading for us all the way from Hong Kong. She lives in Hong Kong.
Oh, wow.
For her Amma Tell Me about Raksha Bandhan. And then we will end with an amazing puppeting company called Magical Whispers. We have been working with them, and we have created different puppet shows along with them. So they're going to tell us some mythological stories about Raksha Bandhan, and they will use shadow puppets to do that.
Right.
So one of their performers is Madhuri Kale. She's amazing. She's extremely creative. So she's going to tell us some ancient stories about Raksha Bandhan, which will be extremely rich, something that we don't experience and our children don't experience on an everyday basis.
Yes,
so it's a very exciting program.
So much culture being brought by the Culture Tree. I think this was a great conversation. Anu, thank you so much for joining us again on ITV Gold.